Yes, it's Jumani, also known as Juby, and watch now is always Arsenal on top of the English Premier League. What a good feeling. Let us be real. What a good feeling. 5 points ahead of Manchester City and about 13, 14 points ahead of the fifth place team. So when you put it into perspective, Arsenal FC, at least from my perspective, we wasn't expecting to be challenging for no title. We really was just trying to graduate back into top four. But now we're in a good position. So let us maintain that. Unfortunately, we're heading into the World Cup. We have about 10 players going to the World Cup, and that could definitely be a threat in terms of maintaining the momentum coming back from the World Cup. But at the moment, we are on top of the Premier League, and that is an advantage without a doubt. So let's just deal with the Wolves game. We won 2-0. Of course, we started with our main starting lineup. That is also a good position. That is a good sign. That is a privilege to have your core starting lineup all fit and available. Unfortunately, most of them within the starting lineup are heading to the World Cup. But we started with Zinchenko left back, returned. Ben White right back. Gabriel and Saliba centre back. Ramsdale in goal. Look, Partey and Xhaka in the midfield. I'm going to say Lokonga. Why? I know. Partey and Xhaka play defensive midfield with Odegaard in front of them, Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right, and of course we had Gabriel Jesus on top. I would say that it was a comfortable win. Of course, Odegaard got a brace in the second half. Wolves posed a threat in the first half. When I say threat, I mean in terms of stifling our play. They sat back very deep, and they were making it a little difficult for us to penetrate. We got a few chances, but we didn't find the back of the net. Eventually, in the second half, we did. Of course, pressure is bust pipe. You know what I mean? So we consistently started to attack them, and we scored two and comfortably won the game. Of course, Xhaka came off early. He seems to be good right now. But more or less, we played a very solid game. Defensively, big up Gabriel. I know he didn't make Brazil's team, but he was there covering, heading away balls, defending, winning one-on-one duels. Gabriel, besides Odegaard, Gabriel stood out in particular. Of course, Saliba made a few mistakes, or one particular mistake Saliba made, and Gabriel recovered, and what a block. You know what I mean? And of course, going forward, Odegaard, of course, stood out. Two beautiful finish, I must say, because that always looking like an easy goal to finish. What a finish. Big up Odegaard, of course. He would not be featured in the World Cup, which is probably a good sign for us. But Odegaard needs to continue to build and develop. And with him wearing that captain band, that should aid in his development and, of course, his responsibilities, knowing that he is who persons are looking up to. You know what I mean? And that should boost him. Of course, Xhaka is arguably our most verbal player on the pitch. He came off, as I mentioned, and he will be heading to the World Cup. But my main concern is coming back from the World Cup. Of course, we all enjoy watching the football and the excitement with World Cup football. But with regards to Arsenal, we are not guaranteed to have that kind of momentum coming back from the World Cup. But we're in a good position. We, of course, going into the season, no one would have expected us to be fighting or challenging for the title. And now we are 5 points ahead of the second place team, Manchester City, and about 13, 14 points ahead of the fifth place team. And of course, I personally was expecting us to just graduate back into the top four, and we are doing beyond that. I know it's just 14 games. Yes, it's just 14 games. But we have been playing good, and we have been playing. You can visually see that we play with a certain level of structure. And I said it in the past, yes, Arteta inexperience, and yes, he's not necessarily the best manager or the best coach, but we took the chance with him, and clearly we had players who just was too mediocre. So we had to get rid of those players, and we had to bring in key players. And I don't need to call the names of the key players that we brought in, but it's clear to see that it's working in our favor. And I would say in January, post-World Cup, we should strengthen the squad. Of course, bring in 2-3 other players just to add armor, add ammunition, add a little physicality to the team, I would say. And of course, I think we probably should get another striker as well. And let me just clear the air on this. Gabriel Jesus is not scoring, but the value of this player with what he does on the pitch is priceless. But I would still add another striker in the event that he is not always at his best, so we could continue to beat teams. Because goals coming from all over the place, clearly. But I would still play it safe and add a striker, probably add a midfielder to our team, and we can move forward. Because watch now, to be honest, we need to beat the iron while it's hotter, because obviously the other teams around us would not be down and out forever. We are having a good time right now, and we need to capitalize on it, and of course boost this squad, and hopefully post World Cup we can maintain the momentum. You know what I mean? We got rid of all the mediocre players, and we bringing in some good players, and we have a nice little vibes, a nice little rhythm. Because watch now is always Arsenal.